ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 3rd chapter, text 12.
Yes.
Jnanam yada pratinivritta gunormi chakram atma prasada utayatra gureshva sangha kaivalya sammata patas Vata Bhakti Yoga Ko Nirvrito Harikata Suratim Nukuryat Jnanam knowledge Yat that which up to the limit of Prati Nivritta completely withdrawn Guna Urmi the waves of the material modes Chakram whirlpool Atma Prasadaha self-satisfaction Uta moreover Yatra where there is Uneshu in the modes of nature Asangaha no attachment Kaivalya transcendental Samata approved Ataha path to but Ata therefore Bhakti Yoga devotional service Kaha who Nirvrittaha absorbed in Harikatasu in the transcendental topics of the Lord Ratim attraction Na shall not Uriyat do Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Transcendental knowledge in relation to the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material world, of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment, and being transcendental, it is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted, therefore? According to Bhagavad Gita 10.9, the characteristics of pure devotees are wonderful. The complete functional activities of a pure devotee are always engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the pure devotee exchange feelings of ecstasy between themselves and relish transcendental bliss. This transcendental bliss is experienced even in the stage of devotional practice, sadhana avastha, if properly undertaken under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And in the mature stage, the developed transcendental feeling culminates in realization of the particular relationship with the Lord, by which a living entity is originally constituted, up to the relationship of conjugal love with the Lord, which is estimated to be the highest transcendental bliss. Thus, Bhakti Yoga, being the only means of God realization, is called Kaivalya. Sri Jiva Goswami quotes the Vedic version, Eko Narayano Deva Paravaranam Paramaase Kaivalya Sangitaha. In this connection, and establishes that Narayan, the personality Godhead, is known as Kaivalya, and the means which enables one to approach the Lord is called the Kaivalya Panta, or the only means of attainment of Godhead. This Kaivalya Panta begins from Shravana, or hearing, those topics that relate to the personality of God. And the natural consequence of hearing such Harikatha is attainment of transcendental knowledge, which causes detachment from all material topics, for which a devotee has no taste at all. For a devotee, all mundane activities, social and political, become unattractive. And in a mature stage, such a devotee becomes uninterested even in his own body, and what to speak of bodily relatives. In such a state of affairs, one is not agitated by the waves of the material modes. There are different modes of material nature and all mundane functions in which a common man is very much interested or in which he takes part become unattractive for the devotee. This state of affairs is described herein as Pratinivritta Gunarmi, and it is possible by Atma Prasad or complete self-satisfaction without any material connection. The first-class devotee of the Lord attains this stage by devotional service. But despite his loftiness, for the Lord's satisfaction, he may play the voluntary part of a preacher of the Lord's glories and dovetail all into devotional service, even mundane interest, just to give the neophyte a chance to transform mundane interest into transcendental bliss. Sri Rupa Goswami has described this action of a pure devotee as Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. Even mundane activities dovetailed with service to the Lord are also calculated to be transcendental or approved Kaivalya affairs. Transcendental knowledge in relation to Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in a complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment and being transcendental. It is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted? Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Vidamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karodiva Chalam Pangum Nangategrim Yat Kripadamaham Vande Sri Guru Dinataranam Parananda Maravam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for making it to Krishna's temple. So here in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami is answering the questions of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was asking many important questions. What is the most important duty for any person, and especially a person who's about to die? Now, who can say that they're not about to die? Huh? Every night we go to sleep and we start dreaming and we kind of wander off somewhere, even sometimes not just in the night, also in the morning, right? Mike, a little bit? Okay. And then, basically, we're like in a dreamlike state, but that can also be considered like a mini death, because you're unconscious, you're not really aware, you don't know where you are, you don't know what you're doing, and you're seemingly gone. So, we have experience of these of this dream state and of this almost like death-like existence, and then we come back. Luckily, somebody wakes us up, right? Either some body, some person, or the super soul says, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Kota Nidra Jao Maya, Pisa Chira Kole, Tatai, and so on. So, the Lord is here to remind us that yes, there is still some work to do. We may not have reached perfection yet. Of course, we don't want to insult anybody. One time Srila Prabhupada, he motioned to the audience and he said, some of you may be Paramahamsas, means highly elevated, liberated persons, like swans. And the rest of you, you are just lucky ducks. Have you ever seen the ducks walking behind the swans? They feel like, yeah, these are nice people, let's go. And they just go behind them. So whether you're liberated or you're a person who is following liberated persons, it doesn't matter that much because both attain the same destination. Now, how do we know whether we're making spiritual advancement? Very simple. Bhakti parishanubhavo viraktiranyatrascha. If you have direct experience of bhakti, of devotional practice, then virakti. There is a certain sense of detachment from the material world. You don't know anymore, and you're not interested anymore about the ways of the world because it's just irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. Because the world will go its own way. Have you noticed? Yeah. And it's kind of relief, right? Like the universe still works without my interference, right? So I can just mind my own business and focus on my bhakti practice. That is quite a relief. Because in the world, so many people feel they have so many duties and so many obligations, and without which nothing will actually happen. And then, for some reason or another, you're not able to participate in the ways of the world, and you come back after a few weeks, a few months, or a few years, and you realize the world is still there, still doing its thing. So, which is a great relief, because it means I am not required to participate in this drama. So, when you have true experience of bhakti, of devotional practice, your attraction, your affection for material topics, for material activities, gradually wanes and comes to nil. It comes to zero. Yet, as it is explained here, that even pure devotees will take up preaching even though they're fully absorbed in loving relationships with the Lord. And we know there are different rasas, and there is Shantaras, which is just general appreciation. A lot of people come here to Bergen for what? They want to see the rain, right? They want to see the mountains and the rain. And they just stand there in front of nature and they go, ah. Have you seen?
No, they stand in nature and look up, or you stand and look at the cobbled floor.
Yeah, the cobbled floor. Yeah. Whoa, wow. And they're like mesmerized, just like, whoa, wow, how amazing. So that's kind of like Shantaras, just like, okay, I know there's something out there. I don't know what it is, but there must be something out there. And it's bigger than me. Why? Because it can crush me. So okay, I appreciate that. So that is called Shantaras, or appreciation in neutrality. There is no real personal interaction or relationship. It's just, wow. Then there is Dasiras, when we realize, okay, God is great, I am small, and the small serves the great. That is our relationship. So let me try to do a little service. Let me try to be of help. So that is the servant-master relationship. Many religions have that. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, etc. And even demigod worship. Okay, these are the powerful guys. All right, let me do something. And they may be able to give me some blessings so I can, get whatever I want in life. But then there is something more evolved, and that is called Sakyaras, or friendship. That you're very intimate, you're very friendly. Like I'm here to have the association of old friends, Mahabhagi Prabhu. So, because we're kind of beyond projects, we're now more in the mode of, let's just let's just make some friends. Have you noticed that people are looking for friends?
I haven't got any friends anymore.
Yeah, thank you for your honesty.
I got no friends.
Yeah, you're fortunate. No one who bothers you, no one who makes your life miserable.
I think I've been making one or two of some of their lives miserable.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Not on purpose, not maliciously.
Yeah, well, then it's a relief, because it's a great moderation if people are just involving you in things and activities that are not so beneficial. And then you have more bandwidth, more time, more energy to actually find true friends. What is a friend? A friend in need is a friend in need. A friend is a person who actually has your best interest at heart. Not just how can I exploit you, manipulate you, how can I coerce you, how can we, you know, do the same stupid things together, and then we feel exhilarated. We feel really. Day before yesterday, we were in London, in a suburb, not the brightest part of town, and there was the 10 usual suspects outside of a bar, and they're doing what people do outside of bars, the same that they do inside the bar. And I inserted myself into the conversation and tried to introduce Krishna in the topic of what was going on there. And I saw how naturally they were averse. They were averse to this topic because they felt challenged, they felt stifled in their pursuit of misery. So I moved on after a while. So the point is that there are different natures. Birds of a feather flock together. You ever seen the crows? Quack, 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 quack. And they can have a real kirtan. They have a real samilam, like Kumbh Mela. Like wherever there's a lot of garbage, wherever there's a lot of dirt, the crows will gather. And the worse the garbage, the more crows are there. Like you ever go to a garbage dump or to a place. Anyway, so, and then there are other birds. They like the swans. They like the nice lakes with the lotus flowers. I just came from the Caribbean. And there in the trenches in front of the houses, there are pools with water and lotus flowers. Did you ever eat lunch from a lotus leaf? It's pretty amazing. It's pretty nice. It's wonderful.
That I saw a lotus flower in one of the lakes here in Bergen.
Yeah.
Taken a really nice picture, yeah.
Yeah, but those in the Caribbean are not like these little, you know, these little lotus flower leaves. But they're big, you know, they're big and strong, like robust, like a plate. You can just, eat your meal from there. And that's what Krishna and the cowherd boys were doing when they went to the forest. They would take leaves and put their lunches on there because their mothers had made picnic that made different items for them, like samosas and kachoris and laglus and ladus and all kinds of wonderful savories and sweets. And they were putting them on leaves, on flowers, on rocks, and in this way they would share their lunch. Of course, before that, because they're cowboys, they would snatch each other's lunch bags and steal them, and then the boy would chase it, and they would throw it to another one, till the boy started crying, and everybody's laughing, and then you give back the lunch bag. Why? Because this is fun. This is what friends do, right? They tease each other sometimes. Then, one level up from that, there is Vatsalya Ras, that the parental affection. Why do we like to meet our parents or uncles or grandparents? Because this is Vatsalya Ras. This is this paternal affection of like, yeah, kiddo, yeah, what do you want? I remember I went as a 7-8-year-old boy alone to vacation. My mom put me on a train. My grandma picked me up, and she took me to the pool, and she read me stories, and she cooked whatever I wanted. Do you remember? Yeah, it's important to have grandmas, right? Otherwise something goes wrong. Something is missing. Mm-hmm. It takes a village to raise a child. So, whenever I want some Vatsalya Ras, I go to a lecture. You know, in Florida, there's a lot of senior citizens. There's a lot of Prabhupada disciples, and whenever I go there, they ask me, how old are you? And I say, I'm 60. And they say, oh, you're just a baby. And I feel like, how nice. Then they give you blessings. So, yes. And then, of course, there's conjugal law. There is that very intimate, that very high, exalted relationship between Krishna and his devotees. So devotees who are very much absorbed in these transcendental mellows, they will still come down to the platform of being a preacher to share Krishna consciousness. Why? Because they understand the Lord's heart. The Lord's heart is full of love. The Lord's heart is full of compassion, that he wants the living entities to reconnect with him. So anyone who goes out and does this service is considered the highest, according to Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita. Just like sometimes you have these notices, okay, child disappeared, child missing, Amber Alert, you get messages on the phone, and this and that. And if you were to find that child and reconnect with the parents, you'd be a national hero. Everybody would say, wow, he found the kid, was lost somewhere, and he found it and reconnected with the parents. Well, here we go. That's the service of a Sankirtan devotee. You go out and you reconnect those lost children with Krishna. Because everyone's slightly lost. They're all a bit lost out there in the forest of the material world. And looking for enjoyment where there's actually, it's just a reflection. It's like a mirage in the desert. Have you ever been in the desert? Yeah? And you saw that with the heat waves, you kind of imagine certain things in the distance, but it's just hot sand and heat waves. And then the animals, sometimes they wander into that direction and they just die because they imagine that there's an oasis there. There will be water, but there is none. So the similar thing can happen to the conditioned soul who is bewildered by these heat waves. And here it's called the waves and the whirlpools. These waves of the modes of material nature who are constantly agitating the living entity. Like yesterday was a beautiful day out. You saw a few people getting excited, eating ice cream, and drinking a little more and buying a little more than they should have. And today probably is again the blues, right? It's again the hangover day.
Yeah, blues for the rest of the week and a while now. So it's easy to feel good and happy and to be, it's something beautiful. When the rain comes, it can change how we feel.
But it sobers people up also a little bit, They become a little more, because when they're styling and everything is flying high, then it's like, what's your problem? You lost your job, you lost your girlfriend. Okay, here, take some coins, go buy yourself a treat. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. You have met people like that yesterday? They're walking tall and proud, till they get hit on the chin, whack. Like yesterday morning, I thought, yes, I'm flying to Bergen. Everything is fine. Till I watched my boarding pass and it said, stand by. And stand by means stand by. So I stood by. And in anxiety, am I going to make it on this flight or not? Till I was called and handed a boarding pass. But it was close call, the last seat on the plane. So Krishna, he is keeping it interesting. He's keeping it interesting. He's keeping us on our toes. No dull moment in devotional service. And if you don't feel that you have enough excitement, that you have enough Krishna anxiety, then just, there's anxiety in the material world, right?
I suffer chronically from anxiety.
Yeah. Well, if you want to have positive anxiety, which will get rid of the material, the chronic anxiety, is that you become anxious for Krishna. Like the devotees, they're like, hey, Krishna is a young boy. He needs to eat. We need to feed him. Because he's young, Young people, they're always hungry. You've noticed? Not so young anymore, but I see like Matsya, he's still growing. He starts small and then he becomes bigger. So, always, where's food? So there is this Krishna anxiety. Okay, how can I give pleasure to Krishna? Krishna wants all the living entities to be reconnected with him. Who's going to do that work? Let me try to do that work. There's so many people who like to do so many things. But going out of comfort zone and facing a little bit of rejection, or facing a little bit of ignorance, to ignore somebody, that means ignorance. It means you're not willing to deal with them. You're just ignoring it. Well, what happens when you ignore someone? They either go away or they become loud or they do crazy things. So It says, be nice, needs, interests, concerns, and expectations. So if we ignore a need, then it becomes a problem. If you ignore a problem, then it becomes a crisis. If you ignore a crisis, then it becomes a tragedy. And that's why we're in this mess, because we have ignored the needs, our own real needs, our own real self-interest, and the needs and the self-interest of every living entity. It's not that there's a lack of resources. It's not that there's a lack of food out there. No. It's a lack of Krishna consciousness, of loving relationships. People are starving for that affection, for that love. But nothing can fill that God-sized hole in our heart except Krishna. We try to put so many things there, but it's not working. It's not matching. Like you ever play those puzzles? You know, we have to find the right puzzle and put it in the hole. You can't try to make it fit, but it just doesn't fit. So only Krishna can fill that hole, that need. So we're being battered by the waves of the material energy, of the modes of material nature. Have you noticed how the modes are always trying to fight for supremacy? You get up early, you feel, wow, yeah, it's another good day. Let me chant Hare Krishna. And then around 6 o'clock, the mind comes and says, you are tired. You need to sleep right now, or else you will die. As if a 20-year-old would die, right? If you miss a nap. But that's what the mind says, right? And the mode of ignorance is moving in. And then after breakfast, passion kicks in. Okay, we have to do a few things. Let's run around and get a few things done. You've noticed the modes? Goodness, passion, and ignorance? And they're always fighting for supremacy. But when we go to transcendence, where we engage all our faculties in Krishna's service, then whatever our talent, whatever our constitution, whatever our mindset is, that gets purified in the service. That gets elevated. Anasaktasya vishayanya taram upayunchita nirbanta Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya muchyate prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshu viparityago vairagyam phalam mukhatyate. To see anything as separate from the Lord is artificial renunciation. If somebody says, I give up the world, well, it wasn't yours to renounce anyway. It didn't belong to you. So, like if I would say, I renounce this seat, it's not mine, you know. So, it's artificial renouncement. But to say, whatever I have received, I use it in Krishna's service. That is true renunciation. And that is the right way how to engage with the world. So even mundane activities can be dovetailed with the service of the Lord. You know what dovetail means? Dovetail?
Entwined or?
Yeah. Like if you do carpentry, like our friend was just building a house, right? Have you done things like that, where you put wood together like this?
No.
If you do it right, it's actually very strong. You can do carpentry without nails.
Like Japan and Korea and stuff.
Yeah, all these traditional cultures, they knew how to do things without, you know, and it was very beautiful and very, very strong and wholesome. So, in a similar way, if we dovetailed, you know, like the tail of a dove, you know, it's very perfectly aligned, it works perfectly. Water on the back of the duck, is that a problem?
No, it's like, don't let problems affect you.
No, yeah, it's no problem at all, right? It's water on the back of a duck, which means no problem. Because the duck's back is perfectly suited for water. It's made in such a way that it's actually waterproof. So he can move in water without getting affected by it. So when we dovetail ourselves, when we dovetail all our faculties in the service of Krishna, then the waves of the material world, the modes of material nature, won't be able to besmirch you. You know what besmirch means? Besmirch means that you go and you do something in the kitchen, and then you look at your shirt and it's all full of It's all full of dirt because you stood against the table and the table was a little dirty there and you became besmirched, you know. Or it's like somebody eats ice cream and then they shake your hand and you go, what was that?
What about the soot on the inside of a chimney?
Yeah, soot in the chimney, absolutely. But it can also be much more subtle. Sometimes you walk by a restaurant and that, you know, that fumes or that smell hits you and you go like, whoa. I remember I was distributing books in Geneva and we had big, huge apartment buildings for workers of the United Nations, and in a building you had like 50 or 80 nationalities. Then you go door to door and you knock on doors to try to distribute books. And then the door opens and then comes out this block of smell that just knocks you right out, like right on the pumpkin. So you have to just stand aside and let that you know, that cloud pass, and then you try to communicate to the person. Because there's people who are, in a different configuration of the modes that might not be so agreeable to us. Just like when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, he started the Gaudiya Math, the Gaudiya mission, and they had a temple in Burma. Have you heard of Burma?
Yes.
And there, the devotees, they were doing puris. They were frying, you know, puris.
I make good puris.
Yeah. And people were flipping out. They could not tolerate the smell of ghee, of this clarified butter, that was frying the puris. They could not stand it because they're used to a different type of flavor. Have you heard of nafi? Nafi? It's a delicacy. They take all the roadkill. You know what roadkill is? What lies on the road, dead, all these animals, and they put them in an earthen pot and they let it decompose. And then they take out the juice from there. That's called nafi. And on festival days, they take out the solids. Different places, different tastes, right? Who am I to tell? I was in Nigeria, and a devotee arranged a program, and there was a lot of people who come. And one person asked him, "What's your job?" He said he's working for a multinational food corporation, who is based out of Vevey, Switzerland. We're not going to name it, but it's the biggest food corporation in the world. And they're in charge of making all the soups and all the instant, you know, foods and baby powders and chocolates and God knows what now, coffee, this, that, the other thing. And their target, their goal is selling 1 billion products a day. 1 billion. That's 1,000 million. That's a heap of chocolates and whatnot. So, and I asked him, I know you guys put additives, you know, not just color, but also flavors, artificial flavors into everything that you sell. So what is it that you put in here in Nigeria? What's the buzz? Like, you know that in Switzerland people like chocolate, right? So you put chocolate flavor or residue from chocolate manufacturing into other types of foodstuffs, and it is proven that people buy more of that stuff because they like the taste, they like the flavor. So the flavor in Nigeria, he said, the most popular is slightly putrid, slightly rotten. So I didn't get into details how they get that flavor, but I'm sure it is, you know, FDA approved. It is synthetically, you know, they can reconstruct molecules. Did you know that that the strawberry flavor, have you ever had strawberry yogurt or ice cream or whatnot?
Yes.
There is not enough strawberries on the planet to naturally supply all that demand of strawberry. So what do our engineers do? They look at the molecule of the strawberry that actually gives that flavor, that sensation, and then they look somewhere else in creation where they can find it. Sawdust. Sawdust has a similar molecular structure, and it's basically sawdust. It's wood.
Cellular
Cellulose, yeah.
or
You know what's in your Parmesan that's already grated in those bottles, in those shakers?
microchips and nanochips.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but predominantly it's cellulose, which is wood. So it prevents it from caking, because if you ever put cheese and you grate it and you leave it there, what happens?
Dries out.
Yeah, there's just a puddle of oil there. It just, you know,
We try and cook it. It's the
you
same.
can't do nothing. It's just a mess. And that's why they put cellulose in it, that it keeps looking attractive. Otherwise you can't sell it, because everything is about profit. And it's nothing personal. It's just profit, okay? Don't take it personal. It's nothing against you. It's just the bottom line, you know? How much profit can we make off of everybody? So, here we get reminded that if we want to have a progressive life, if you want to have not just a life, but you want to actually make progress. Progress means consistent steps in the right direction. Then we should heed the guidance of pure devotees like Shukadeva Goswami. The title is in chapter, Pure Devotional Service. There are other types of devotional service. They're called mixed. Sometimes people are interested in knowledge. Have you noticed? I just want to have the knowledge. Give me the knowledge. Huh? Then there are others, they want profit, karma. All right, I have a little, but I need paid. Yeah. I met so many workers here. They're here in Norway, and they say, I know. I met a guy from Ukraine yesterday. He said, no, I want to go to America. Better paid for my trade than here. So they're always looking for the better job, the better opportunity. So there is knowledge, there is profit, but ultimately, if there is no heart, if there is no love, what's the point? Why are we here for? You may have all the money in the world. You may have all the knowledge in the world. What's the point? You're not feeling the love. Have you had that experience? You know a lot, but it's like, okay, now what? Now what? There's no application to that. There is no consequence of that. Yes, sir.
In mafia.
Mafia?
They
You heard of the mafia? See mob? Yeah.
They prefer, instead of love, they prefer
The power, yes.
this is much more
Fear.
attractive than love.
To them, yes, because
That's
they
what I
think
want to suggest.
they think that with power, that's why people who are in positions of power, they're not even interested anymore in sex or in intoxication or in this or in that. It's all about power. How to be the most
Dominate to
powerful person, and how to put other people in fear.
Sorry.
No worries, thank you. We're getting there. This is the question and answer part of our little presentation here. So thank you for showing up on this beautiful Tuesday morning and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, how to make progress towards our ultimate goal. Not just, hey, I'm not getting killed, I'm getting through the day, through the week, through the month, through the year, but how I'm actually going to achieve my real objective of the human form of life, which is self-realization, which is to reunite with Krishna, with the Supreme Person, in loving devotional service, and to dovetail all my propensities to use my talents in Krishna service. Everyone's got talents, right? Everyone has talents. And to use those talents in the right way means to engage them in loving service for Krishna's pleasure. And then automatically we'll become happy, we'll become satisfied. In plain English, if you water the root of the tree, all the branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits will become nourished. Have you noticed? If you put water on the leaves or you put water on the fruit, they'll just rot and it's not going to do good to the plant. You have to put water on the root. Very few exceptions. And if you put water, if you put food in the stomach, you get nourished. You remember as kids, you're just playing around with food. Did you do that as a kid? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise you had a miserable childhood. You have to have that experience.
Or when you're a kid, yeah, enjoying the food, exploring it. Yeah. Everyone's done that.
Yeah. Huh? And then the parents, no, here. Why here? No, I want to put food everywhere. But then you grow. In a similar way, if you put your attention, and conscious attention means love. That's love. Not sex, not porn, not like real love is conscious attention. That means love. I want you well. I want you to be the best you can be. That's love. Not exploitation. So, if we focus that on giving pleasure to Krishna, then automatically everyone becomes satisfied. Have you tried to satisfy people in one way or the other? I think we all have. Yes or yes? Please say yes. It's a good growth. I know it was worth it coming here to Bergen. They follow orders. So, but have we succeeded in pleasing people?
No.
Thank you for your honesty. Undank ist der Weltenlohn. Being ungrateful, that is the reward of the world. So get used to it. This world is meant to disappoint us. And the world is doing a fantastic job. Have you noticed? Yeah, absolutely. So the world is doing what the world is supposed to do. Don't hold your breath till your family, your friends, your relatives, your whatever, your acquaintances, your employees, your bosses, they will come and say, thank you, how wonderful. It may, and most likely it may not happen the way you expect it. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna is so kind, he's so reciprocal, that even if, like my friend here, Mahabhavi, he has beautiful giriraj, and sometimes you travel and you can't do proper puja because you're in an airplane and you can't take a bath and take the thakur out and do the abhishek and do everything right. It's just not gonna work so well, right? So then you do what's called manasa puja. You can do the worship in your mind. That you just perform all these rituals, all these functions through meditation in your mind. And even if you just think with love, because Giriraj, you can't worship him according to ritual. Shalagram, yes, you can do upacharas, you can do this, that, the other thing. But Giriraj, he wants bhava, he wants love. So you just think of him with love. And Giriraj, Krishna, he will feel it, and he will say, oh, my devotee is thinking of me with love. That's why when the altar is closed, you should not bow down to the altar. Just a little detail. Why? Because either the Lord is bathing, or he's getting dressed, or he's eating, or he's taking rest. And then when you come and you offer obeisances, then we're distracting the Lord from what he's doing. Oh, my devotee is paying obey. I have to reciprocate to him. Because Krishna feels obliged to reciprocate our love, our affection. So we're distracting him in what he's doing. So here's just some details. Questions, comments, or reflections? We're already 1 minute over time. Matsya is ready to go swim in the ocean and chase the conditioned souls to give them books. It wakes up a little later out there, right?
Yeah.
Around 10, 11?
10.
Yeah, 10, 11. Before that, it's really thin. It's just the people who need to go to work, and they're on a mission. And it's not the mission from God. And they're on their own mission. And you better don't get in the way.
Is it a mission or a distraction, though?
Yeah, well, that depends on how you see it, That depends on how you deal with it. If you're just working for profit, for fame, or for your boss, or out of fear because you're afraid of losing stuff, then it's kind of just survival mode. But if you work with the intention that I'm going to do my work to please Krishna. I'm going to use my faculties and my resources to give pleasure to Krishna. Then you're not working for the boss, then you're working for Krishna. Because the place of your work and your kind of work, that's a detail. But the intention with which you work, that is the principle, that is the essence. It's not about the mechanics of the job. It's about, just like I'm a teacher, now I could be teaching anything. I could be teaching marketing.
Is it wrong for me to make a business and try and support myself?
No, it's not wrong. As long as you understand that your work is not the source of your maintenance, but Krishna is the source of your maintenance. Sometimes you have food, but you don't have appetite. You have noticed? You have that experience?
Yeah, the last couple of days.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yesterday.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't feel like eating
No.
because something's troubling you or something's going wrong, and you're like, nah, I don't want it. I'm not interested in that. I need something else.
I feel no pleasure from
Exactly.
from no pleasure.
Yeah, and that's why I can get no satisfaction. But you must try, and try again. And he still got the blues, and he is not getting it. Why? Because he's doing it the wrong way. Putting the food everywhere except in the mouth. Because we are obstinate. We want to avoid Krishna. Why? Because we're envious. Why should he enjoy? I want to enjoy. I'm the man.
But if everything is part of the super soul,
Yeah.
we enjoy ourselves. We can enjoy ourselves like as Krishna or
No, as a servant of Krishna, we have to understand our role. If you're working like as a viceroy, you know what a viceroy is?
maybe not tell me.
It's a representative of the king, or
Oh yeah, we're all right there.
Yeah, so a representative. But he goes around and he gets the same respect as the king because he's the viceroy. It's like that vice president, When they go on functions, political functions, like you're an ambassador, you're representing the country. If you insult an ambassador, you're insulting the country. So they have a lot of power, and they get a lot of gifts, but the gifts don't belong to them. They have to turn it in to the king or to the government. Otherwise, they get booked for for embezzlement and for fraud. It happens, Maybe little stuff, like below $200. They can accept that on their own behalf, but when they're in their official role, so we have to be mindful, what is our role here that we play? Otherwise we may think, yeah, I'm the man, I'm the controller, and all of a sudden you're caught in an offside position. You know what that means? The red flag goes up, and they say, no. And if you do it too often, then you get sent off the field. And that's what happens. Other questions?
Just continue this. Let's say you run a hairdresser salon.
Yeah.
How do you do this to Krishna, really?
Well, the work is really not that relevant. That's just a mundane, whatever it is. Whether you're moving bricks or you're moving hair or you're moving cars or earth, or, that's just, you have to do something. Unless it's connected to sinful activity, then, but there's a need for hairdressers. Not for us, but there's the other half of the sky, which is female. And I was in New York, Columbus Circle, right in front of the entrance of Central Park. You know the place, right? Yeah. And we did Harnam, we're chanting Hare Krishna there, and there's nice, nice kirtan, nice action going on, and the sun is shining, it's a beautiful day. And there's a lineup of about eight wheelchairs, and senior citizens are there in the sun with their caregivers, or caretakers, or carers, however you call them, depending on the country you're from. And I walk over there and I talk to one lady, she must be in her 90s, and she has perfectly done hair. Like sometimes they get these hair with the little purple glue in it, because they overdid it a little bit with the coloring, right? So, perfectly manicured fingers, wonderful jewelry, perfect dress. There was just one problem. She was old. She he was 90 plus, and you could see it, not just on the hands and on the throat, but so. And I gave her Bhagavad Gita. We had a nice little chat, and then asked for a donation, and she told her carer to give the donation. The lady said, no, we're Christian, we don't want this, that. And she said, give him the money. You know, like, I'm the boss. So, unwillingly, she forked over the $5 or whatever it was. And then at the end, she told me, thank you very much for coming over and talking to me. What she didn't say was, nobody talks to us. We're old people. We're considered a different species. You know, like young people, they think there's young people, there's middle-aged people, there's old people, right? Huh? What about him? Oh, he's old. Huh? So, but what are old people? The young people who stuck around and so on. So she was appreciative. How did we get there? Yeah, your job, that's not so relevant unless it's something sinful. Then it should be changed. It's really, how can I connect this with Krishna? And naturally, if you can do books or prasadam or harinam or teaching or something that's directly, but not everyone can do that. So some they have to work jobs, they have to have professions according to their capacity. Now, if you're good with numbers, you're good with business, you're financially literate, then you can run a business. But most people are not. Like they play the lottery. Have you heard of the lottery? The lottery is the tax for the stupid men. Because they haven't figured out, you know probability theory? The house always wins. The odds are against you, even if you have a great game plan. So, you have to have a certain, ability for that kind of work. Of course, you could say you can do anything, for money, but how long and how good? So, but then do it for Krishna. Krishna will appreciate it. He will appreciate it. And you'll become purified of your, of your contamination with the modes.
It's quite also dependent on how you spend the profit.
Yeah, absolutely. And in which mindset? Are you doing it willingly or begrudgingly or like you see nowadays, service industry is becoming a joke,
What makes you say that?
Well, yesterday at Gatwick Airport, which is also known, have you ever been to Gatwick Airport?
Many times I've travelled to work
Yeah.
through that.
So it's just a big mall. They just want to sell you perfumes and liquor and chocolates and whatever stuff. It's a big mall. And if you were to look for a service desk, you'd be surprised. There's one phone, and whichever number you dial, it's occupied. So basically there is no service. They pretend to be in the service industry because hospitality, transportation, hotel is a service industry. But unfortunately, that is not the case. And they rather pay lawyers than hold up their end of the bargain and make sure that their clients are actually happy and satisfied. Why? Because, because they figured out that it's cheaper that way. It's nothing personal. It's nothing against you guys. It's just business, nothing personal. So that's why the service industry is a joke. Did you ever walk into a store and the girl was on her phone, scrolling or talking, and you had a question, and she just couldn't be bothered because she just gets paid minimum wage an hour, and it's just no difference to her, Take your thing and put the money there and get lost, but I don't want to be distracted from my real purpose of being here, which is scrolling my phone. So it is unfortunate when people don't know anymore. There's no more honesty. There's no more honor. Like formerly, a craftsman would not deliver substandard service because it was just not acceptable for him. It was against his honor. There was an honor for tradesmen. They had guilds. They were taking pride in what they were able to do. One of my friends, he's a builder, and he looks at the buildings that are there in Mayapur, and some of the buildings, he said, Whoever built this as a punishment should have to live in this building. Like you're an architect, right? So sometimes you see things, they just give you pain, right? You go like, what went wrong here? Like, did they take the wrong drugs or what happened? So as a punishment, these people should have to live in those places. Like there are buildings that are round. It's really not good for living in them. That's why usually they make prisons. One form of prisons was these round things, you know, because it drives people crazy. So
Round buildings drive people
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah, if it's just round, you don't have any corners, you know, everything is round. Because you can just run in circles
Yeah, it's just
all days and all nights, and you're not getting anywhere. Yes.
Just the first instruction of my spiritual master, I was not initiated at the time. His name is Matsuyama Prabhu. And it was that talents belong to Krishna. This is the first instruction.
Talents belong to Krishna. Your faculties, whatever gift you have received, that is his gift. So it should be used for him.
Yeah, and I was in the temple for since 2 years because I need to establish a new life. And my spiritual master, that was a designer before. He was a designer.
Designer.
Yeah, before. And he told me, no, you have to use your talents. You have to come back in the society. Do the best service to your customer, and when they are satisfied, you can bring Krishna.
Yeah, because they will be
This
curious.
was a good dealing.
Yeah, because people will be curious. You did such a fantastic job. How did you do it? Why did you do it? You know, it's not like all the other people who are just cutting corners and renegotiating contracts and all that stuff. Why? Why did you do it? And you can say, it's because I'm a devotee of Krishna. Because that's, you know, that's why when I built the school in Mayapur, I know we're on the record here, but oftentimes I prefer to work with Muslims than with the others. Why? Because they know that Allah is always watching. Whereas there's a certain honor, you know, like you don't steal. Whereas others are like, oh, Krishna, you know, he's a butter thief, he's stealing, or, you know, saying lies sometimes. Yeah, everything is a little flexible, you know, like that. But that doesn't really work when you're in construction. So that's just an experience that we had. Of course, there's problems everywhere. So, Kalir Dhosani Deyajanasti Eko Mahagunat Kirtana Deva Krishna Mukta Sangha Paramraji. There's so many problems in this world, have you noticed? Yeah? There's an ocean of problems. But there's one good quality. That is simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You can achieve the highest perfection. Shastra also says that all the conditioned souls, they have all already cried an ocean of tears. How many tears in an ocean? Approximately? A lot, yes. That's the correct answer. Yet with one smile of Krishna's lotus face, that whole ocean vanishes and dries up. That's pretty amazing, right? We all had our experience of crying tears. And then Krishna came into our lives, and the sun came up, and the ocean just vanished. But then again, we can run into the desert and chase the mirage, because we're looking for a little more of that ocean of tears. But don't go back to the old ways, because have you noticed that when you have knowledge, it gets exceedingly harder to do stupid things? Like if you're just plain ignorant, right? It's just like you don't know any better, right? It's just who we are, right? Yeah, we we club animals over the head and we drag them back into the cave, right? And then we either eat them raw or we roast them, you know? And that's just what we do, huh?
Put them in a pot.
Huh?
Put them in a pot and drink the juice.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever, whichever way suits you. But then when you have knowledge, you can't really go back to the old ways because it seems like, no, I kind of like taking my shower, you know? I kind of like putting on a fresh shirt every day. And it does make a difference, right, in my life. If not, try it out. See how it feels. There's a better way how to do things. And that's the Vedic way. Like yesterday evening, 4 doctors from the UK, Indian descent, who were on the same flight with Matsya and I. And they came here to the temple. And they were really appreciative of the deities and the prasadam and the sangha. They took books and it was nice. And at the end, they said, yeah, the Vedic path is, it's based on knowledge. It's based on knowledge. Vairagya Vidya Nicha Bhakti Yoga Shikshartam Eka Purusha Purana Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripambudir Yasvamaham Prapadye. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give us this, not just knowledge, but this process of devotional service, which includes knowledge, vairagya vidya. You get detachment. You become detached from this world, from the ways of the world, because it's transcendental knowledge. So many people out there who have, heard a few talks and clicked on a few YouTube videos and they know a few things. Have you ever met people who are educated in the University of YouTube?
Gurus
Or
people who just use that image and material,
or social media,
material
TikTok or this or that, just how to become more popular, how to become more profitable, how to, exploit others. Like I was trying to call a certain airline, which I won't mention, in the UK, and I looked for the service number, and there was an advertisement that said that name of that company, and this is the service number. And then I called them, and they answered with that name, and then I gave them my details, and then I realized that this is not the airline, this is somebody else. And I asked, who are you? And they said, we're a consolidator. What do you guys do? Oh, we book flights, we rebook flights, we do this, we do that. I said, then you're a travel agent. And the guy said, yes, we're a travel agency. I said, why do you put an advertisement out there claiming to be the airline? Guy hung up on me. So it's like, there's a lot of cheaters and cheated out there. Huh? If you were going down to the harbor where the boats are, and somebody would say, hey, I have some gold. I'm selling it cheap, I have to go on the cruise, and I can't take it with me. Would you buy? Why not?
Gold, cheap gold.
Yeah.
Well, gold is the same value everywhere normally. You can't just get cheap gold. It's about quality and
cheap
is
gold.
it really gold and it just look like gold?
Exactly.
Was
Cheap
it gold plated or?
Yeah, it means something wrong here. Something a little fishy.
Deception.
So, but the stupid person, the ignorant person thinks, oh no, it's a good story. It's a great deal. The price is right. But the intelligent person says, wrong place, wrong style, not going to work, no go. So we have to become educated. And for that, it's not enough to have bookish knowledge. It's not enough to click on a few things online. What we need, we need sadhu sangha. We need the association of practitioners who are satsang, truthful association, who are giving us the straight talk. Not, oh yeah, you're fantastic, you're wonderful, you're a great guy. And then they stab you in the back or push you over the cliff or steal your stuff. But people who want you to succeed, people who want you to advance towards your ultimate goal of coming into a loving relationship with the Lord. That is good association. And it is available by Krishna's and Prabhupada's grace. So we're very fortunate to be here, that the oasis is alive and open and vibrant. And don't get discouraged because there's not hordes of people running through this place, you know, like one of the fast food places down the road. Because if you're selling diamonds, how many customers will you have in a day?
Very few.
Very few. Because very few are willing to pay the price. But is a diamond wallah, is a diamond merchant, are they insecure? Do they feel, no, not at all. Because they know, I got top quality. And if somebody wants my stuff, well, let them show up. And we have a little chat. So, how many projects does an architect do? It's not like selling ice cream or selling peanuts. So you have to choose your trade according to your capacity and also according to your level of, understanding. Hari Om Tat Sat, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Grantar Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. And Bhakti is a progressive path. Don't think you can jump from here to there in 5 seconds or even in 5 years. Sometimes it takes a few lifetimes. But if we know that this is where I want to be, then no obstacle will deter us. In fact, that will be an impetus for us to become more sincere in our practice. Hare Krishna, to be continued. We'll have class tonight and also tomorrow morning, and then we're heading out. That's the plan, right? We're just working on the orders here. So, yes, that is the plan. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. It wasn't very stable, but
Yeah, no?
a
Okay.
little